Now remember, yesterday the Women's Reservation Bill was passed in the Lok Sabha and it will now be taken up in the Rajya Sabha today. But ahead of the session, the BJD has issued a 3-line whip to its Rajya Sabha MPs for the Women Reservation Bill, and 5 MPs will speak on the bill today in the Rajya Sabha, which include Mamata Mohanta, Sulata Deo, Manas Ranjan, Mangaraj, Sujit Kumar and Muzibullah Khan. So the BJD has now issued a 3-line whip to its Rajya Sabha MPs for the Women Reservation Bill, which will be taken up in the Rajya Sabha today. Remember, it was passed in the Lok Sabha yesterday with a majority, and it will now be taken up in the Rajya Sabha today. But ahead of the session, the BJD has now issued a 3-line whip to its Rajya Sabha MPs, and 5 MPs will be speaking up on the bill today, which include Mamata Mohanta, Sulata Deo, Manas Ranjan Mangaraj, Sujit Kumar and Muzibullah Khan. Remember, there was a war of words also in the Lok Sabha yesterday between the Congress and the BJP. The Congress had been demanding OBC inclusion as well in this Women Reservation Bill. And also remember, 454 MPs had voted in favour, while 2 MPs had voted against the Women Reservation Bill. And the bill will now have to be approved by the Parliament's upper house and at least half of India's state assemblies before being promulgated into a law. We're now being joined by CNN News 18's Payal Mehta on this story. Payal, so the Women Reservation Bill was passed with a majority in the Lok Sabha yesterday. What can we expect in the Rajya Sabha today, as the Rajya Sabha opposition is in fact greater than what it is in the Lok Sabha?
You can expect a lot of fireworks as far as this is concerned in the discussion and debate today, and you can also see a lot of very, very important points being made, because these are the MPs who come in from the states. They are representatives of the states. They are somebody, that's the house in which the opposition is a lot stronger than it is in the Lok Sabha as well. But, this is one bill that nobody can really be seen opposing to. So, obviously, of all the members who were present, only 2 members in the Lok Sabha, which is Asaduddin Owaisi and his colleague Imtiaz Jalil, were seen opposing the bills. Other than that, a lot of people did not turn up. More than 80 MPs were not present in the House, including Sonia Gandhi yesterday when the bill was being passed. So obviously that's the sense, because nobody wants to see averse to something which is empowering women as well, because every political party in some way or the other has spoken about empowering women, whether it is Mamata Banerjee, whether it is MK Stalin, whether it's any other party as well. So it's a very important day as far as the fate of women in politics is concerned, given the fact that after this bill is passed, they are looking at 50% in terms of being able to make their mark in being able to make their demands in the political circuit, at least to say the least. But yes, numbers are going to be extremely important, because you require, this is a constitutional amendment, Anjali, and you require 2/3 majority to pass this particular bill. So the government has already done the number crunching. I'm sure they're reaching out to a lot of opposition parties and telling them to come on board, because this is largely for the cause of the women. That's the reason this special session was really called.
All right, Payal, please stay with us. We also have CNN News 18's Aman Sharma joining us on this story. Aman, a very good morning to you. Aman, we witnessed that the opposition had been hitting out at the government over the implementation of this bill. Could you give us more context on that?
See, the government stand is very clear that the bill can only be legally implemented once the census is concerned, when it's conducted across the country, and it will be proper to implement the women reservation only once the delimitation is complete. Now, there are multiple reasons behind this. One is the Article 82 of the Constitution. See, there needs to be a criteria to fix any Lok Sabha seat as a woman reserved seat. What is that criteria? It is still not known. So, and you don't have the latest data. The latest data on India's population is as per census of 2011, and the delimitation was even before that in 2008. So clearly the government is saying that as per the law, you need to conduct a fresh census before bringing in any kind of quota, a new quota in the parliamentary system. So clearly, and we all know that a 2021 census was delayed due to COVID. I would refer to Amit Shah's statement in Parliament yesterday, the Home Minister saying that the census would be immediately conducted after the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Soon after that, there will be delimitation conducted, and by the indication is that in the 2029 Lok Sabha elections, we will have the Women's Reservation Bill implemented. 1/3 of the seats will be reserved for women in the Parliament as well as the state assemblies. That said, the government is also very clear that without delimitation, if you do a women reservation, for example, Amit Shah said yesterday, what if Wayanad or Hyderabad, today's seat is reserved for women? the Rahul Gandhi or Asodun Owaisi could accuse the government of doing this by political means to reserve these seats. So what is the criteria for the women, a particular seat to be reserved for women only depends once a census and delimitation is done. And Anjali, government sources are also very clearly saying that nothing stops the parties from giving 33% tickets to women in the next Lok Sabha elections. If you want to voluntarily walk the talk, you can easily give 33% tickets to women candidates. In the last Lok Sabha elections of 2019, less than 10% tickets were given to women candidates by all parties. Out of about 8,000 candidates who contested the last Lok Sabha elections, about only 700 for women. So parties also which are objecting to the late rollout of the Women's Reservation Act, the government sources are saying why don't these parties also walk the talk, give more tickets to women this time to set an example. And of course in 2029 the indication is that the Women's Reservation Bill will be a reality, Anjali.
All right, Aman, please stay with us. We're also being joined by CNN News 18's Arunima on this story. Arunima, a very good morning to you. Yesterday, we saw the opposition also stressed on the OBC inclusion factor in this bill. Could you tell us why is it politically important?
Well, OBCs are emerging as a class which is politically very potent, and the way all sections of the political establishment are wooing this class. You saw on Vishwakarma Jayanti, Prime Minister announcing a lot of schemes for this community per se. You're seeing on the floor of the house how leader after leader from the opposition rank is talking about the OBCs. The two MPs who voted against the bill, Asaduddin Owaisi and his colleague, they also said that we want a separate reservation for OBCs and Muslims specifically. So this is a vote bank which has long been powerful as far as India's electioneering is concerned. This is a vote bank which had forced leaders like Sharad Yadav, Lalu Prasad Yadav, Mulayam Singh Yadav to take a stand against the Women's Reservation Bill in the past also, because they wanted a sub-quota. But now I think there is also a realization that if you compare the two vote banks, one based on caste and one based on gender, the time has come to give the due to the gender-based sub-quota. So that's why, in spite of...
All right, we'll try to reconnect with Arunima, but we have our senior editor Pallavi Ghosh joining us. Pallavi, so we were just talking to Arunima about the political impact of the OBC inclusion in the bill, which is being demanded by the opposition. Could you tell us more about it?
See, we have to understand why is the OBC vote bank very important. According to a calculation of the government, it walks up to at least 10% of the vote bank as far as the OBC vote bank is concerned. And as we look at the parliament session just right behind me, which is going to be ending tomorrow, the OBC vote bank becomes a critical one according to calculations of all political parties. What the Congress and India Alliance through the multiple meetings have tried to make the point is that this is a government which only cares for the entitled, the backwards, the SC, SC, Dalits, they don't even matter at all. Which is why there was a strategy why Rahul Gandhi spoke towards the end, and why almost, I would say, 95% of his speech was dedicated to the OBC factor. And that's the reason why they are pinning the point that the Women's Reservation Bill is good enough, but it's still not good enough because it does not factor in a separate reservation within reservation as far as the OBC is concerned. The BJP has also understood this game really, Anjali, which is why, for example, at the Prime Minister's birthday celebrated at Vishwakarma Divas, the people who are not so recognized, who are the unsung heroes, but who contribute to the economic and the social structure, those are the ones who also need to be understood and appreciated. That's the calculation of the government, and therefore, even if the Women's Reservation Bill is going to easily pass in Rajya Sabha, I'm sure all the players, especially the India front leaders, will go back to the voters and the constituency and say, look, we fought for the OBCs, we fought for you. I mean, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge is an astute politician, which is why in Rajya Sabha he raised the issue of the OBC, which led to mass altercation with Nirmala Sitharaman, but it was a calculated risk and a strategy taken up by Mr. Kharge in Rajya Sabha.
All right, Pallavi, please stay with us. Coming back to you, Arunima. So today the bill will be taken up in the Rajya Sabha. Could you tell us who all will be speaking today?
Yes, in Rajya Sabha, I think all the big guns, the elders of the house, as we say, they will, take the center stage there. Nirmala Sitharaman has not really spoken defending the bill in Lok Sabha, so it will be interesting to note if the finance minister, one of the leading women faces for the government, she takes the podium there. Rajni Patil from the Congress, also Jaya Bachchan, one of those votaries for women's rights, they're all expected to speak in favor of the bill. I think it's more of becoming a part of the historical records now. It's a given the way every party stood up to support the bill except those two from Mr. Owaisi's party. It is a given that Rajya Sabha will also see near consensus on this, and this bill will become a reality. But it is also a matter of putting on record the objections that the opposition has vis-a-vis first implementation schedule for this particular bill. I think most agree that this is not being implemented before 2029. At least that's what the opposition is alleging. So they want to press that you bring in the schedule for implementation first, and second you make provisions for OBC. But just to take you back to that interview that Pallavi had done with Sonia Gandhi when UPA was pushing for this bill, she had said the same thing that the government is saying today. What is really stopping the political parties for including OBC's quota while giving these tickets in 2024 elections? What is really stopping them from coming up and giving 33% tickets to women? So the government, I think, will toss the ball back into the opposition's court as the elders of the house take center stage today.
All right. Thank you so much, Arunima, Pallavi, Payal and Aman, for all those details. We'll keep coming back to you for more updates on this story. As of now, we're slipping into a very short